Good morning. So it is absolutely glorious spring day and I am up here on the middle lake. So today my plan is to replace this fishing platform. So there's a number of them around the lake here. We try and replace a couple every year, so that way if you did them all at the same time, then they're all going to fail at the same time. So by doing a few every year, you then stagger the failing point. So this one is really in quite bad shape now, but I thought before I start dismantling it, I'll just show you a couple of the problems and what caused them, and you'll see as I do it, I'll do the new one slightly different. So the first thing is, they put this board around the outside. Because it was a fishing platform, the idea of that was to stop people from kicking stuff off the side. Problem with that is it actually held the water at the end of the boards here. So as you can see, they've all rotted from the ends here. So the boards are a good idea, but I'm not going to bother with them. I think fishermen are sensible enough not to kick too much off the side. But it'll make the platform last longer if I don't do that. The other thing is, again, to stop people dropping stuff down, they didn't leave a gap between the boards there. And again, that just holds moisture. So when I put them in, I'll be putting the boards slightly spaced apart. And the third thing they did, which you wouldn't initially think of as a problem, is when they built the frame, they built a square all the way around the outside. So you can see these boards rest onto the beam there. But that means as the ends of the boards rotted, they immediately lost their strength. If you put the beams about 6 inches in, you can lose some off the end there before it actually loses its sort of structural integrity. But yeah, so that's enough talking about what's wrong with it. Let's start ripping it out. Okay, so that's the bulk of it taken out. So what you can see there is actually the previous platform, because what they used to do is put a big white rubble sack in there, fill it with ballast, and then put a wooden frame around it. Problem with that is they never put any wood underneath the water level. So once the sack started to fail, it would spill out underneath the wood. So they then went to the timber platforms, and they didn't take the old ones out, and they just built straight over the top of them. Now I don't like the fact that this is at an angle. I'd like it to be a little bit straighter on. So what I'm going to try and do is put another post in just this side of that platform, and once I've got that solid, I can then build from that, and I can straighten this up a little bit more. And once I'm confident that that's all secure, I can then take the old platform out, rather than leaving it in there, because I think it looks a bit of a mess being in there personally. So right, let's see if I can get a post in. Okay, so that's the post in and the support across. Now I've only lightly tacked that with a couple of screws. I will go back and fix it better in a minute. But just while I'm working, in case I need to move it, I don't want anything too hard to take out. Now I know that looks all horrible angles at the moment. So the one I've put in is slightly wonky to the bank, but going the opposite direction to the previous one was very wonky to the bank, so it does look awful. But once I take the old one away, it will look nowhere near as bad. The two small posts I am going to leave in position. They're already there. It seems silly to take them out when they're not in the way, and extra support is extra support. So the horizontal that I put on, I measured down 10 centimeters, so that's 7 centimeters for the beam that sits on top, and 3 centimeters for the thickness of the boards, the deck boards that are going on top. So that should bring it level with the soil over here. So I'm going to have to take the top of that post out slightly. I'll just cut that down with a handsaw. Right, so the next section is to finish removing this and dig the bank out so it's square. Right, let's get a spade. Okay, so I've just squared it up, spent a little bit of time to trim the tops of the posts so they're not going to interfere. Like I say, squared it up using the 3-4-5 method. So measure 3, in my case 3 feet across, 4 feet down, distance between the two ends there should be 5 feet. So I'm just going to put some posts in now to stabilise this end by the bank and make sure that end's level. Okay, so I'm just back from lunch. I'm just trying to remember what I've done between when I turned the video camera off and now. So I have levelled it all up, screwed the supports to the posts, cut the posts off flush so they won't interfere with the top. Added an extra leg in the middle just because I had it laying around and I thought, what the hell, extra legs is better. I've then put a timber frame around the outside. I've used the old planks from the very old swim. That's more of a sacrificial timber because the soil comes up against those, so that is the first part that's going to rot. So that's not structurally important, it just holds the soil back, and that's why I've used it as a sacrificial timber. I've also put extra big screws into all the joints to make sure it's all secure now. So yeah, we're on to decking now. These planks come in 3.6 metre lengths. Now if you cut that exactly in half, that comes to 1.8 metres. Knowing how accurate my cutting is, I decided I'll do this 1.6 metres wide, so I've got plenty I can cut off. So I've cut the first few by balancing them on the trolley, which is getting difficult. So what I'm going to do, screw those in place. I'll then screw the next one as full length on there, cut it off, spin it round, screw the next half down. It'll make more sense when I start getting on. But yeah, we're almost there. And what I'll do is I'll start from this end, putting the planks across. I deliberately haven't done anything across the front yet, because then I can, once I see where the planks are coming, I can then cut that off so it lines up nicely. So right, let's get these boards down. Notice the sun's moved around, so I'll put you on the other side just in case the sun comes out and you end up with glare. So right. Okay, let's see if I can do this without dropping the camera in the water. So we're on to the last board here. So what I've done is I've gone along, put the board in, including the gap there, and just marked a line where the board is. So I want to cut these off so that they end up flush. But I'm going to be putting this trim in around the outside. So I've taken that mark there, put the trim on there, marked it on the inside. So now if I cut that there, when that's in there, that should be hidden underneath the board, which should look nice from the outside. So yeah, right, let's cut the ends of this off and get this last board in. And then we're almost done. Okay, so there we go. So I've put the number back on. I put some extra gravel around the edge here just to fill that gap. I've also trimmed a couple of branches on that tree, make it a bit more open. So we are done. I will say I am absolutely appalled at how wonky this edge is. But I was going to say, this one's wonky because I cut it wonky. This one's all the square ends of the board, and even they're wonky. So, but you call it rustic, and it's fine. So yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, do subscribe, because I've got another one over there somewhere that I want to replace as well. Plus there's lots of other videos of stuff that I do here. So right, I shall see you next time.